Welcome back to the first session in Unit 5, the Johannine tradition. The symbol for John is the eagle, which is why I'm taking you today here to the south end of Overpeck Lake. In 2011, a bald eagles pair started nesting in that tree over there across the water. Since then we have seen a growing population of bald eagles around the lake here. And yes, we are now finally talking about the fourth gospel, as John is also often called. The gospel is indeed a bit different than the three synoptic gospels. So then let's start. Who is John? The name John, as a possible author of the gospel, is not mentioned at all in the gospel at all. John the Baptist comes up many times, but no one would suggest that John the Baptist wrote the gospel. He was decapitated even before Jesus began his ministry. So he would not have written the gospel. And then there is mention of Simon, son of John, but in this case John is only the byname for Peter. Otherwise there is no mention of any John in the gospel. What is mentioned often is a nameless disciple whom Jesus loved. There has been much debate around who this disciple might be. Is he the author? Is he an idealized disciple who serves as an example for the reader as to how they should have faith and act like this disciple whom Jesus loved? The Bible Project seems to equate this disciple whom Jesus loved with John, son of Zebedee, or with John the Elder. Both are from within the group of Jesus' disciples, but I'm not sure where they are making that connection. It's never mentioned in the Gospel. Maybe because Irenaeus, 130 to 202 CE, an early Christian father, wrote in his book Against Heresies 3:1.1 that John, one of the disciples, wrote the Gospel. Other scholars have proposed that the author is the disciple of whom Jesus loved. But he remains anonymous. Most likely, actually, the author has drawn on earlier sources, a sign source and a saying source. The theory is that there was an earlier, more simple eyewitness account which the author has used and combined it with the sign and saying sources. That's what gave the gospel the present shape. We probably can't do any better than that the author remained anonymous to us. When was the Gospel of John written? Those who propose that a disciple of Jesus wrote the Gospel, as the Bible Project says, would have to date the Gospel very early, maybe even as early as the Gospel of Mark. But most scholars reject that idea. Some medieval scholars even placed it as late as the end of the 2nd to early 3rd century. However, that possibility has been disproven by the discovery of early manuscripts in a library in Egypt that date to the late 1st century or early 2nd century. So that would place our gospel in the era around 95 CE. What is John's character, the message? Jesus is the Lamb of God, the Son of God. He is the Rabbi, the teacher, the Son of Man, the Messiah, the King of Israel, and simply the man Jesus of Nazareth. The author of John likes to take things in sevens. These are the 7 titles the author uses for Jesus in the Gospel. It was written so that you may believe, chapter 20, verse 31. Here are a few characteristics of the Gospel of John. A. As just mentioned, the Gospel of John features things in sevens. There are 7 signs which successively reveal who Jesus is. First comes the wedding at Cana in chapter 2, verse 1 through 11. Second, the healing of a sick boy, chapter 4, 46 through 54. Third, the healing of a paralytic man, chapter 5, 1 through 15. 4, the feeding of the 5,000, chapter 6, 1 through 14. 5, the healing of a blind man, chapter 9, verse 1 through 7. 6, the raising of Lazarus, 11 verse 1 through 45. And then lastly, 7th, Jesus' resurrection himself in chapter 20, verse 1 through 18. Slowly the power of Jesus is revealed as the signs become more and more amazing. The second to last shows Jesus being able to raise someone from the dead, Lazarus, before he will do the same for himself. B. Jesus uses 2 times 7 the term I am. Jesus says, I am the bread of life. That's the first one, 6:35. Second, I am the light of the world, 8:12. I am the gate of the sheep, 10:7. I am the good shepherd, 10:11. I am the resurrection, 11:25. I am the way, the truth, and the life, 14:6. I am the true vine, 15:1. And then there is a set of 7 I ams randomly distributed throughout the text. 1:26, 6:20, 8:21, 8:28, 8:58, 13:19, 18:5. Those are all the places where the random I ams come up. Every time the author of John uses I am, there is an allusion to the story in Exodus 3:14, where God answers Moses out of the burning bush. I am who I am. The gospel makes the connection to say that Jesus is the great I am. Jesus is God. C. The discussions Jesus has with the Pharisees and the Sadducees are much longer and deeper in this gospel than in the synoptic gospels. Here you have words like light or truth or life. Also, believing or seeing or knowing. Often Jesus uses a dualism between true and false or light and dark. Those point to a Gnostic language. Even in the beginning of the Gospel, where Jesus is the Word, the Logos, that pre-exists with God in 1:1, and then is incarnated in this world, 1:14, all of that sounds quite Gnostic, except that it is not indicating that the Father is the evil God of creation, but is the God of Israel. That's why the connection with the I ams. So, while the Gospel uses a lot of Gnostic symbolism and language, it ultimately seems to be a critique of Gnosticism, not a Gnostic Gospel. So now you can watch the Bible Project videos on the Gospel of John. Again, also read our textbook and take a look at BibleStudyTools.com to form your own opinions. Enjoy and see you next time. And maybe we'll see an eagle flying at some point.